Imagine waking up to a $5,000 fine for simply existing on your own damn property. Slapped on you by a self-crowned HOA dictator who thinks her clipboard is the Constitution. But what if that fine backfires so spectacularly that she ends up in handcuffs? Sobbing about her rights while the whole neighborhood cheers? In the sun-dappled suburbs of Evergreen Meadows, Oregon, where manicured lawns stretched like green carpets under a perpetual blue sky, lived Alex Rivera, a 35-year-old environmental consultant who'd traded the chaos of city life for what he thought was peace. Alex's modest ranch-style home sat at the edge of the development, backing onto a lush swath of protected wetlands he monitored for the state. He was the guy who picked up litter on his morning jogs, waved at every dog walker, and kept his yard so tidy it could have been a golf green. But in this neighborhood, tranquility was just a facade, hiding a web of petty rules enforced by the iron-fisted Evergreen Homeowners Association. Leading the charge was Marge Kensington, the HOA president, a woman in her late 50s with a helmet of perfectly coiffed blonde hair and a smile that could curdle milk. Marge spoke in honeyed tones about community harmony and upholding standards, but everyone knew she ruled like a mini tyrant, fining folks for flower beds that weren't aesthetically aligned or cars parked 2 inches over the curb. Alex had heard the whispers, how she'd once threatened to lien a widow's house over a faded mailbox, but he stayed out of it, figuring live and let live. It all ignited on a crisp fall Saturday when Alex decided to harvest some wild mushrooms from the edge of his property, a spot where the yard blurred into the wetlands. He wasn't poaching, he had permits from the state agency, and the mushrooms were part of a biodiversity survey he was conducting. Dressed in khakis and a flannel shirt, he knelt in the soft earth, carefully clipping a cluster of chanterelles into a basket. The air smelled of pine and damp soil, birds chirping overhead like nothing could shatter the calm. Then, like a storm cloud rolling in, Marge appeared at the fence line, her white Lexus idling in his driveway. She stepped out in her crisp khaki pants and pearl earrings, clipboard in hand, her face already twisting into that signature look of righteous indignation. "Mr. Rivera," she called out, her voice slicing through the quiet like a bad karaoke singer. "What on earth are you doing back there? That looks suspiciously like foraging on association-adjacent land." Alex straightened up, wiping dirt from his hands, and offered a polite smile. "Morning, Marge. Just collecting samples for work. I've got the paperwork right here if you'd like to see." He pulled out his phone to show the digital permit, but she waved it away like it was a pesky fly. "Paperwork? Oh, please. The HOA bylaws clearly state no unauthorized harvesting or disturbance of natural features. You're endangering the ecosystem and lowering property values with this. This hippie nonsense." Her eyes narrowed behind her designer glasses, lips pursing as if she'd tasted something sour. Alex chuckled lightly, trying to keep it civil. "Marge, this is my backyard, and it's legal. The wetlands are protected. Sure, but I'm licensed to monitor them." But Marge wasn't hearing it. She scribbled furiously on her clipboard, her pen scratching like claws on chalkboard. "Licensed? By whom? Your tree-hugging friends? This community demands order. Mr. Rivera. Expect a formal notice." She spun on her heel and marched back to her car, slamming the door with a thud that echoed down the street. Alex shook his head, figuring it was just bluster. But deep down, he felt a flicker of unease. Marge had a reputation for turning molehills into mountains. By Monday, the rumors had started swirling like leaves in a windstorm. Alex's neighbor, old Mr. Jenkins, sidled up during his evening walk. "Heard you were out there poaching endangered species. Son. Marge mentioned it at the coffee klatch. Said you're turning the neighborhood into a wildlife zoo. Alex's jaw tightened. But he kept his cool. That's not what happened. Jenkins. Just mushrooms for a survey. But the whispers grew. Marge had posted on the neighborhood Facebook group. A veiled rant about irresponsible residents exploiting our pristine environment for personal gain. Comments piled up. We pay dues for safety, not chaos, and time for stricter enforcement. Alex ignored it at first, focusing on his work reports. But the isolation stung. Then the envelope arrived. Thick and ominous. Stamped with the HOA seal. Inside, a violation notice citing illegal extraction of communal resources, environmental hazard creation, and nuisance behavior. Fine, $5,000. Due in 10 days. Or face liens and legal action. Alex stared at it. Coffee going cold in his mug. Communal resources? On my own land, he muttered. It was absurd. A power play wrapped in legalese. He called the HOA hotline. Getting a timid assistant named Lisa. Mr. Rivera. I just type what she tells me, Lisa whispered. Her voice hushed like she was confessing a sin. Marge says if we question it, we're not committed to the vision. Alex pressed gently. Who else gets these? Is this normal? A pause. Then, everyone she dislikes. The Parkers for their bird feeder attracting vermin. She uses the fines for improvements, but... well... her garden looks like Versailles now. That was the spark. Alex, ever the analyst, booted up his laptop and dove in. Public records showed the HOA's finances were a mess, invoices for landscaping services paid to a firm owned by Marge's nephew, while the community park remained overgrown and forgotten. Her house, a backyard oasis with imported fountains and exotic shrubs. Embezzlement. Plain as day. But Alex played it smart. Documenting everything quietly. His patience a weapon sharper than any fine. The pressure mounted like a slow-building thunderhead. Marge's drive-bys became routine, her Lexus creeping past at odd hours. Phone camera pointed at his windows. One evening, Alex found his mailbox stuffed with anonymous notes. Poacher scum, move out. He knew it was her handiwork, the perfume scent lingered. Then the real harassment kicked in. Waking to find his garden hose slashed. Water pooling in the driveway. Accident, the cops said when he reported it. But Alex spotted Marge's smug grin from her porch across the way. At the next HOA meeting, held in the sterile community center under fluorescent lights, Marge held court like a queen. Fellow residents, she cooed. Her voice dripping with false concern. We must address threats to our harmony. Certain individuals flout rules, endangering us all. She shot Alex a pointed look. And the room murmured agreement. When he stood to speak, microphone in hand. This fine is baseless, unlicensed. And the bylaws don't cover private property. Marge cut him off with a saccharine smile. Oh. Mr. Rivera. Always the rebel. But rules are rules. Dear. Pay up. Or face the consequences. We can't have anarchy. Laughter rippled from her cronies. But Alex saw the fear in her eyes, a crack in the facade. He sat down. Seething inwardly. But plotting. That night, he emailed his findings to a lawyer buddy, Elena, who specialized in HOA takedowns. This is gold. Alex, she replied. Fraud. Harassment, but we need her to overstep big time. Alex nodded to himself. She will. Tyrants always do. The next day, A tip from Lisa: Marge was planning a compliance inspection on his property at dawn. Trespass. Basically, Alex set the trap, hidden cameras from his work kit. Motion activated. Streaming to the cloud. He waited in the dark. Heart pounding but mind clear. Dawn broke with a golden haze over the wetlands. Birds stirring as shadows lengthened. The cameras pinged, Marge. In dark joggers and a hoodie like a budget spy. Sneaking along the fence with wire cutters and a sign reading HOA seizure, violator property. She snipped the chain link, snap. Snap, grunting with effort. Her face flushed with triumphant glee under the early light. "This'll teach him," she muttered. Audible on the audio feed. She hammered the sign into his lawn. Thud after thud. Then pulled out her phone. 911? Yes. Emergency. There's a dangerous individual at 247 Evergreen Lane, he's armed. Threatening me. Hurry. Alex's blood ran cold, swatting. The ultimate escalation. Sirens wailed soon after. 2 squad cars pulling up. Marge burst from the backyard. Feigning terror. Tears streaking her makeup. "Officers. He's inside." Raving about mushrooms and rights, "I was just enforcing bylaws." Deputy Harris. A no-nonsense vet Alex knew from local events. Approached cautiously. Alex stepped out. Hands up. Calm as a pond. "Morning. Folks. Everything's recorded, trespass. Vandalism. False report." Marge shrieked. "Lies. He's a menace." But Alex flipped open his wallet. Revealing his state-issued badge, Environmental Enforcement Officer. "I'm Alex Rivera. Sworn to protect these lands. This woman just destroyed my fence. Lied to you. And obstructed official duties." The air thickened with shock. Harris's eyes widened. "Badge checks out. Ma'am. You're in deep." Marge's face crumpled, from smug to splotchy red panic. "But I'm the president. This is for the community." Handcuffs clicked as she wailed. "You can't, I know people." Alex watched. A quiet satisfaction blooming. The footage sealed it, fraud exposed. Charges piling up. In the whirlwind that followed, Marge's empire crumbled like a sandcastle at high tide. The neighborhood erupted, emails leaked. Meetings stormed. She was ousted. Sued for embezzlement. Her fancy backyard auctioned to repay fines. Last seen loading a rusty van. She avoided eyes. A shadow of her former self. Evergreen Meadows breathed freer, barbecues replaced board meetings. Rules relaxed. Alex fixed his fence. Harvested his mushrooms. And smiled at the irony, the protector fined for protecting. Turning the tables with truth. But here's the kicker: was Marge the real villain? Or just a symptom of a system that lets petty despots thrive? Would you fight back against an HOA bully? Or pay to keep the peace, and who really wins when order means oppression?